Yeah, I just started recording in case somebody wanted it. Also, I'm really new to the streaming thing, guys, so don't mind if I'm a bit dry or something, I'll get better. But overall, you can say New York will be up in itself because we're definitely gonna sweep this. So, as long as we touch this before here, New York would be up in general. And if New York is up, in this time it's usually down. Like you basically counter trade it. The market makers try to get some of the lost liquidity back before they either reverse or continue. They basically hunt your stops here. And do remember that New York is probably the session with the most volume. So there's a lot of traders who are just getting into their trades, waking up, scanning the markets and stuff here. And they tend to get screwed a lot. And if you see a sweep of a key level, that's just a bonus. Like, for example, let me take you back. Let's see. It won't be visible here, but pretty sure yesterday there was a level here and it immediately got swept, and that's when I knew I could short. You'd usually think the opposite because if a like a so-called resistance level gets swept, you'd think to long, but they just come for your stops and then they reverse it anyways. I expect this to be filled. Let's see. Looks like it's happening right now. Yeah. And this is all I use pretty much. Just the kill zone indicators, the spaceman key levels, and the Kairos bars. So with this, you can count New York as up, and our theory for it being down here would be valid. We'll just have to see. There's another 20 minutes until you'd start looking for trades. And why I think we're gonna go back to daily open is we've left a lot of liquidity here. Anytime you see these wicks, it's just huge orders that immediately skyrocket the price. And the big players here would have already taken profit here because they're the ones who are moving the market down again. So usually the people who are left here are just like greedy traders who deserve to get swept. But as AOC said, bias should be long. So if we were to take a scalp shot, I would be like, I'd want to get out of it as soon as possible. And look here, we've created more equal highs, which are gonna get swept soon. So is the quality and all okay? Like the stream quality and stuff? Because if it isn't, I have to get on with another procedure, which would probably be better. Just let me know if it's fine. And also let me know if you want me to look at anything, any alts or anything pretty much. Today would be a hard day to nail down where you take your shot because all of the key levels are below, so you don't really have anything to go by. But let's try drawing a fixed range. Let's do it for this move, this entire move. Yeah, it correcting to daily open also lines up with the volume levels here. doesn't really give us an idea of where the volume is. So let me see this. Let's just mark this out. Yeah, I think this is a good place to start. Let's see. If there is more upside during New York, I think this level is the max we'll touch. And that's because there's a high volume node here and it starts here. So currently we're here in between this and this. So you've already swept this, you've cleared this. There's not much resistance. But once it starts touching this, there's going to be a lot of orders that are not going to let price go up. Let's see. If we get to this one, I'm immediately shorting. I'll still look for a short though. Just a waiting game, like you got to wait for your trade to come in. You can't be tempted by this and just think I'm gonna go short. You can't have the FOMO or you're gonna lose. This one's got swept as well. Let's see. Not yet. And anytime you see an unhealthy upward move like this, the first thing that should go through your mind is probably a short. Let's go to some higher time frames and see. Yeah, pretty much the same thing. It would be ideal if this one got filled and we'd probably take a shot here, but I'm not too sure that would happen. This is another one you'd watch out for. We are at that right now, so if this area we break through, I expect this to get filled. It's good to have a bias, but you can't rely on it too much because these times are really volatile between New York and London, so you have to react to what the market is doing. For example, like in the next 10 minutes right before New York ends, we can dump till here, and then at that point I'd probably look to long. So when I say I'm shorting, I just think there's a higher chance that it's gonna go down during this time than there is before that. If that did happen though, you would probably take profit a bit here and here. Just as I say it, lol. And you can't look at this and think I'm gonna short right now either, because these are 5-minute candles and they change a lot. Like look at this one for example. It started off somewhere here and then went here, closed here. It's a mess. Let's look at something else meanwhile. My trading view is entirely glitched. I don't even know how to fix it. What else do you guys want to look at? Let's see AVAX. It's been a while. It looks pretty much the same as BTC. So you swept a key level here. The good thing about trading BTC is if you get the BTC direction right, even if it's not much, the direction on all other alts will be the same, like 90% of the time. Aave also looks really good for a short. Yeah. And this is the bad thing in action pretty much. Let me show you. The first peak and the second peak's higher, third peak's here. You'd probably think you'd go down. Wait a minute. Look. The session's gonna end in another 5 minutes and it's gone down a lot. You basically just barely swept this and then started going down. But none of this really matters until this time period kicks in. There's usually a really volatile move either up or down, and you just counter trade that. It usually works, that's like 70-80% of the time. And as long as you have good risk management, it's good enough. There's some form of exhaustion kicking in now. Look, it's on this candle. If we continue going down, then I'd look for a long. Maybe here or here probably. And you can also see here on BTC on this volume profile, there's literally zero volume here in this gap. There's a POC here and volume picked up here. So the market makers do need to generate a lot of volume in this area before they start going up further. You have to try to juice it out as much as you can. You see how volatile it is? Went till here and then starts rapidly going up again. I try to stay unbiased, but it's good to have a direction that you're thinking of, if that makes sense. Do you see this box? This is where I'd look to long. But that is if we come down here during this. Look, it's going back up now. It's just really confusing, even for me. Because I've been researching, backtesting, and studying this for a while now. It just there's no pattern to it or anything. You just have to react. You can't really put limits and get it done with. Which is why I can't call the trades a lot of times. But I figured if we can stream it while I'm taking the trade, maybe you guys can too. Yeah, I can see the exhaustion kicking in. And this exhaustion would be to an overall uptrend, I'm pretty sure. So this is 9. Yeah, there's just a couple more candles until this is over. And usually right after New York, at least until halfway through this, it's usually just a range. You can already see the range highs and lows being formed here. They just build liquidity before they do anything. So if you don't see much liquidity being built, it's probably not a good time to trade. And what I like to do, since we can't really set limits for these like in and out scalps, is I just go onto Binance on my computer and adjust my position size and leverage. And since it's on PC, there's just a sell and buy option. So if I think I'm going to short it, the position size is going to be the same. I just click the red one instead of the green one and it usually works out. One sec. And the position size and leverage is Let's say I'm trading with $100. I put in 20 on the trade at 10x leverage. And you can't really have set stop losses for these trades. You just have to look for invalidation. So it's really crucial that you monitor the charts like consistently, because they're so dynamic and you have to keep changing your strategy and where you're going to take profit and everything with it. I doubt this will happen now. Maybe we'll fill the top of this. This is doable. So around 21,100 is doable. Let's see. The rest of New York will probably just be a range between this and this, but once New York stops, we should see some interesting things happening. Let's see. And for those of you who are asking me like where I'd long, this would probably be the first one, like somewhere around here, this area. There's a lot of volume here and it's a fair value gap, so once you fill it, you touch this POC, so there's going to be a good amount of volume here. And 5 minutes is the best time frame to trade these, because look, 1 minute is simply just too volatile. Like, you'll be put off by this move, this move, this move, this move, everything. It's not just a good time frame to trade. Maybe you'd look for yeah, there's a 1 minute break of structure here. It's starting to show. But that's pretty much all it's useful for. Be right back. Yeah, you see the red exhaustion, right? It's just more confidence that we're gonna temporarily go down. So this would be the first entry. That pretty much. If we do revisit this, I would short it again. I've actually missed the trade because I wasn't logged in on my computer. But you guys should look for a short here, like anywhere here, because it's in our POI, right? We marked these two levels out and we thought if it comes, if it touches this or gets close to this, we're gonna short it. So you really should have taken that there. I don't know if you guys did. So let's just say average, we got it here. Let's not really look for a stop right now, but you would TP somewhere here, I guess. That's 21.0. Not the most ideal one, but since I'm DCAing in, it's not gonna matter. And this is not a stop loss, I'm running without a stop. So do you guys understand what I'm doing, or do I need to be clearer? Even though like I do win quite a lot on this, it's not always gonna go our way, so you gotta be wary of that. So for this one, you have two confluences. It's a rapid move up with exhaustion here, so that's why I took it. I would have loved to get in around here, but my account was locked out, so it's approaching the TP. Let's see. Comes here, I'm just gonna close this. Uh, so it's the same strategy as investing into alts as well. You scale in and you scale out. Like in this case, maybe I would have like to take a bigger position since it's going my way. You'd always feel like that, but in the long term, like uh, scaling in and out is gonna help you a lot. I'm actually gonna close. Would have been one trade. It's pretty much done. Yeah, it's hit the TP. Look. So this is 0.5% and I was on 10x as I explained earlier. So if I got in here where we got in and then out, it's 5% in like 5 minutes. It's really incredible how this can work for you. Of course, like we've marked this out before. If Binance wasn't being a bitch, we probably would have gotten our entry here and it would have been even more. But you take what you can get. 60, and we closed it like here. So this wouldn't actually be the main trade. It's just something I took because of the very volatile move up and exhaustion here. This isn't what I'd actually recommend to you guys. If you really think about it, that's just a sweep, right? And there's still liquidity being built up. So a succession of very volatile flush candles, as I call them, is what you'd be looking for during these trades. Let me see if I can find one. Yeah, like these. You see, or a couple of days ago, I think I took, yeah, like this much volatility. So this is basically like a wick followed by heavy uptrend and then something like that basically. Don't really have the examples lined up to show you guys, but I hope you get the point. I'm curious if you guys took this with me. If you did, just let me know. And this is what I mean by the correct entry is like much more important than the perfect one. If we would have simply been dejected that we missed this one here and we didn't end up doing it here or something, we would have missed out quite a bit of money, but I'm glad we did. And this is what I mean by volatility after New York or whatever. You see how high it went up and how low we're going right now. So actually at this point, if we continue going down, I think, yeah, I'd be as soon as one of our areas of interest like gets touched, that's when I enter it. So on a touch of the previous day high, let's say at DCA, let's say I'm doing 20% of my scalping account, right? I do 10% or 5% of that over here, and the lower we go, I start exponentially scaling up the entries depending on the how confident I am in them, basically. So our bias was correct, and if we would have actually stayed in this, that would have been really good because we could have closed it where we got our long entry and we could have been hedged. But unfortunately, perfect scenarios are really rare. So we take what we can get. I'm just waiting for this one to get tabbed. So let's see. Let's wait and see what happens. And the good thing about us getting this entry is even if we don't get any other trades for the day, we're still not blank across the board. We have something to show for ourselves, right? And you'd think a 0.45% movement doesn't really matter that much, but when your position size and leverage is correct, it snowballs into a shit ton of money real quick. And now we play the waiting game like we were around here. We didn't we didn't FOMO into a shot here. We knew this was gonna get swept. You remember? I think we were somewhere like here when we started the stream. And the good thing about patience is that we got to know that it's gonna go this high potentially before we started looking for shots, and that's what like really what puts us apart from the everyday traders. And for those of you who just came in now, I'm looking for a bit more downside before we can DCA a long, scalp long. So while we're waiting, just let me know if you guys want me to elaborate on something or go more in depth. I'm pretty sure this is just to bait longs. I don't really think we're gonna go much higher as of now, but let's see. I could be wrong. Yep. And if you guys are really put off by the price action of or how much volume is transacted or the price action of each candle, like these are pretty heavy movements. They do not seem like much on the bigger scale, but when you're staring at a 5 minute chart, this is like a really volatile move. So if that really puts you off, just wait for the candle closes. Only judge the candle by their closes. And yeah, it was spot on what we discussed before this any of this happened. Do you guys remember the little white dot that I marked to show that this is where like New York ends and like where we should be taking a trade? That is exactly when it went into our thing and then went in our direction. So I'm proud of that for now, but we have to move on and look for more. Let's see. It's usually more volatile during this time, but there is still quite a bit to go. So the rule of thumb is, since we determined that New York was up overall, you'd look for one more FU move in the direction of New York to stop out the people who've been shorting, let's say late New York here. So that was this move. And once this move kicks in, that's where you should be looking for your trade. So that's what I mean by counter trading New York. So you look for that one irrational move that's either up or down in the direction of New York, ideally, that happens before you get into anything, because you don't want to be stuck here with your stops here, right? Because it's easy to mistake this was our POI, like this red box, and this pretty much almost tapped it. So you could have shorted here and put your stop, let's say here, and thought it might not slice through all that volume, but it would. So you have to be really precise with your standards and what you consider a good trade, I guess. Nothing that interesting really going on, but boring times are when the most money is made. So I'm ideally looking for a PDH tap before I start scaling into a long. Let's see. I'm not sure if that would be the wisest thing though, because we've left such a gap here. So I would have loved to stay in the short if Binance didn't close my entire thing when I wanted to do only 50%. Like now it depends on your risk tolerance. If you really are confident with what you think, you can scale into a long here. I'm curious, can you guys see my cursor? Like me moving it around and stuff? Just let me know in stream chat if you can see my cursor. Be favoring a shot if we do go back to somewhere here. Let's see. I'm not too confident in this long because I mean it probably will still play out, but there will not be much like enough movement for it to be worth the risk. Is what I mean. Because you see this candle, right? It's really putting me off. I guess you could argue that there's technically been price action here and here. Let's see. Also, let me know if anybody knows how to fix my trading view. It's been like this for the past couple of months now. And how I use Kairos pause is you look for these little white things. They usually tend to form before the so-called exhaustion. So I'd be ready for my trade around here because I know there's an exhaustion coming. If I don't, and this is where I'd look for the trade like pinpoint. Once the red line sprint, that's heavy exhaustion. So that is when you should be looking for like to get into your trades or whatever, counter trading the direction of what has been happening. It's been pretty neutral so far, I'd say, because it's still within the range that we thought would form the range before. So it's not, this isn't really something I would get in on as of now. I don't know if you remember, but our range was this candle high, like here. Let me mark it out. Like here to here is what we established as our range when it was still forming. So technically speaking, if you just counter traded the deviation of these ranges, you'd still be good because you barely got a sweep here, but it's still a deviation. So you could have longed the deviation and you would have been up quite a bit, depending on how much leverage you are. But as of now, it's still there's nothing clearly screaming to me saying short or long. We would have longed if it touched this, but unfortunately it didn't. So around this level is where I'm looking for a short again, between this and this. So just keep that in your mind. I'll let you guys know when I do short though. And like these moves, I think I've told you guys this before in the stream as well. But yeah, they like all of these exhaustions of trends, they tend to come in parts. Like you guys know Bart Simpson, right? his hair is like really wavy and stuff. That's what it's supposed to be. It's like it's actually become pretty adopted now, but the thing that nobody talks about is the second peak that forms tends to be the highest. So I doubt you'd like go higher than this. If you do go higher than this, right? I it's not invalidated per se, but I simply wouldn't risk that much on that. So whenever you see a really upward or downward moves like this, you should be looking for something like this. Let's see. I keep forgetting where everything is. Yeah. So you would be looking for, let's say, this, and then the second one's higher. So basically, like, I guess you could argue it's a head and shoulders conventionally, but it's not really that, since you're looking for wicks rather than bodies or levels, and you don't have that much time to mark it out. This time, I'd say we got lucky by shorting the second peak, but most of the time, you would need the second peak to confirm that you are in this in the first place. So yeah, when you see volatile moves, look for something similar to this. And if you see it forming, so this would be an exhaustion to the downside. And let's say this, something like this, is what you'd look before it starts going up again. This is a bit broad, but this is what it realistically looks like, just fix. So you have to be able to see that. Still pretty boring, and we're still in our range, haven't deviated much. And whenever you range like this, the first thing that should go to your mind is this is all just liquidity. There's thousands of people, like millions of people like us, executing orders here. So it's a general indication that there's gonna be a move coming soon. Whether it's up or down, we can't really tell, but you should be wary of it. I really thought we were gonna go back to our interest here. Let's see. And also feel free to give me any criticism or whatever you guys would want me to do. Uh, yes. If we do, so this would be my yeah. I just DC'd into that. Basically, this. If we do end up going higher, then it's just good for us because we already have our leg inside, and it's not my entire position size, and I already took this one. So even if I end up losing this trade, right, I'd still have like my winnings would offset my loss basically. And just as we speak, that's really good, bro. I'm good. Let me know if you guys got into this one, because I've marked it out and I've spoken about this right here, and I also told you guys that if we do get back here, I'd be looking for a short. I know I do sound insane changing my bias every 5 minutes, but that's just how you've got to be to make it in these markets. So let me know if you guys did get in, or if you're learning anything. It's still pretty crazy because I've since I've been risking 20% of my account on these trades just from this one and two trades alone, like just now, by messing up my limits, not getting the entry I wanted, I've still made 2% of my account in a matter of like 20 minutes, which is insane if you guys think about it. Looks like we're gonna get another entry maybe. And do remember, we're still in our set time of volatility, so this is all valid. And I'd say invalidation for our theory of it being this that I've drawn out before here would be somewhere around here, where it would be pretty much impossible to call that exhaustion anymore. So we closed a bit here. I don't know if it's fortunate or unfortunate that Binance closed my entire position here. Let's see. I don't really use the desktop version of Binance much. I only recently started using it, so I'm not sure how it works and shit. But yeah, this is still valid and I would be shorting this. We've taken a total of two trades so far. I would call the first one a winner, but it's starting to seem like the second one is just an unfortunate incident. Yeah, so these are what you'd call flush candles. Basically, like a wick and then a lot of action followed by it. You see how giant these wicks are compared to the body, right? So this is a telltale sign of exhaustion, and this is usually what I look for getting into my trades. I'd still say it's still a good, like around our original AOI. I'd still say it's a good time to short. And for the purpose of demonstrating it to you guys, I've been using $100 account on Binance that I will use for all of these streams, and we'll see how much we can get that to by the, let's say, the end of next month. So we've started with $100 today, and we're at 102.17. May not seem like a lot, but that's 2.7% of your account, right? So there's a couple more candles left. What's the time? It's 9:30. That's 20, 25. Five more candles left until you'd have to start closing your trades. I'd say in this case you wouldn't really need to do that because I expect London close to go back down, ideally. Because you have to understand that the market makers have to get all of this liquidity here, such a vector candle over here, that they need to get a lot of this liquidity before they can start going up, or it just doesn't make sense for them, right? And if you observe carefully, all we've been doing this whole while is simply just playing the range here, the same range that we've marked out almost like an hour ago. We've simply been playing that, shorting and longing deviations or range highs, and it's been working out pretty well for us. Yeah, I hope you guys took this one again. It's going our way, it seems like. Let me know if you took it. I would close some here just to be safe, since we still are at the range. So when you're playing a range like this, ideally you'd short the range highs and you TP at the range lows. Since our bias entirely today is short, yeah, it just keeps going down, man. Looks like we were right. So if any of you guys are in, I'd advise you to close your a bit of your position on any deviations or range low taps if you are in a short. And And if you guys were on the same leverage that I was on, that's 5%. 5% of a fifth of your account. Pretty fair to me. Again, if Binance did not do me wrong like this, we would be in so much profit right now. Yeah, guys, I really do hope that you got into this trade, and yeah, you should start de-risking at this point. I am sure we're gonna go a lot farther down, but at least like 25% of your position, if you are at a range though, you should be looking to de-risk. Because you do see how volatile these candles are, right? 1 minute you're in profit, the next minute you've liquidated your trade pretty much. It's that rough out here, but this is going perfect if I do say so myself, and I do really hope that you guys got in. Damn, why did Binance close my position? Fuck. So this is a heavy deviation of range lows. I'm pretty sure we must have changed our bias at least 5 times in the next in the past half an hour. But the important thing is that we turn out to be right. And the trades that we do take and not simply speculate, the ones which we execute on, they end up being right. So if I were you, yeah. So on each tap of these levels, right, you should be looking to close your trades. This is where you would have gotten into a long, but as I've mentioned before, I'm not too hot on a long right now since all of I told you guys right this candle is really putting me off. So we ended up going back to short this again. This is fucking perfect, guys, and it's all live. So I hope you guys understand what I'm doing and you'll be able to implement it. So you should have taken profit a bit here, and the last one I actually don't know where I would, because I doubt it will go this low. But if Binance did not cheat us, I mean, we still made like 2.5% of the entire account, but it would have been so much more. Like, yeah, that's pretty much like 10%. And why I like trading Fridays is you that like the usual time where Friday highs and lows are formed, right? It's usually between New York and London close, since it is the most volatile time of the day. So trading Fridays is really profitable for me, because any of these trades you get into it, right, they're pretty much not going to be swept until Monday of next week. So you have a lot of time on your hands to plan your trades and know where to close them. And if you are fortunate and you are hedged at both the Friday high and low, you'd close one once Monday open starts, and then you'd be sitting in a shit ton of money. I haven't been able to do that myself since I've only used a single exchange, and I'm sure Binance doesn't have hedging. But that is the play. Like, we did form a Friday high. I'm sure this is going to be the highest point we're going to go today. I'm looking for a formation of the low now. But if we were still in this trade, I would be in it. But all the levels we've marked out are getting hit now. It's all going perfectly. I'm still bummed that we didn't Binance closed our entire position, but it is what it is. So basically, I'm looking for a low to form now at this point. Ideally, it would be lower than this, because you see, anytime you see these wicks, right, there's a lot of liquidity built up here. So ideally, you'd want the low to sweep these and build more liquidity here, but not sure what's gonna happen. And I'm sure as I keep streaming, I would get better at streaming, and I'll be able to keep you guys entertained, and you guys can learn more of what I do. Because I've invested a lot of resources and time of mine studying how to and formulating strategies and whatnot. Yeah, but I do hope if you guys were in a short, I mean, if you were in it with me and Binance didn't cheat you, that is, you closed some and you're in some nice profit for the day. But yeah, so this short, right? I would not really close the entire position until our the time that we've said runs out. So this white dot that we've marked out in the starting is where London close starts. So by the time the candles reach this point in time, you should be out of your short trade because London close, sure, it might go your way, it might continue the trend that's been set here or the day trend, which is more important. And the day trend, if you observe, has been up. So I'd say there's more of a chance that we end up continuing the daily trend during London close than there is of it going farther down. But the time period, like this to this, is all we do care about. So in the span of 9:05 to 10:05, 1 hour, we've all been here together. We've gotten a couple of trades in. It should be nice. And I do hope you guys understand why I can't really put the strategy into words now. You see how confusing it is, right? You've had to change your bias so many times in the past 1 hour that it's like it would be just honestly embarrassing for me to post it that many times on the channel and whatnot. But maybe streaming should help. This looks like it's gonna reverse, but yeah, 9 times out of 10 it's a trap. Yes, sir. And my bias will be the same until this time runs out. After that, perhaps it's we look for reversals or continuation, basically. But since we've had successful trades today, two of them, and I hope mega successful for you guys if you guys are still in, which we actually should have been in. We should have DCA'd both entries. So we should have had an entry here, closed some here. I don't know if you guys remember, but you should have closed some here, then got back in here, closed some here. So you'd still have a good chunk of money in with your the pedal on, like your foot on the pedal, basically. Yeah, it closed some more if it was here. Yeah, once it taps. So if you're still in the trade, look to close it. And just to de-risk, I would actually close the entire thing right now, but we all know how that goes. You close the entire thing and it dumps another 30% in the next 5 minutes. But yeah, guys, if you are in, close some, since this is the level that we've marked out since the beginning. Pretty much since the minute the stream started, we've had this level marked, and the plan was for it to go however high it goes, get in over here, and get out over here. And this was really fortunate to happen on stream because this is really ideal. We've marked these levels out depending on the volume. We said this is the top level where we would short, and it would probably tap this here since it was a smaller node, but nonetheless it still is. And it did do that. But yeah, I think I'm gonna be done for today once the time runs out. I'm not gonna try and trade London close today. I'm sure it's gonna be juicy, but it's just not gonna be for me today. Because if you've had two successful trades, like really successful trades, be realistic. You should really stop trading. The third one is just gonna set you back because you'd be high on all that adrenaline, and you're very likely to make a wrong decision, which has happened to me a lot of times. You'd find yourself on a winning streak. Let's say you've won 5, 6 trades in a row, and then you think you're unstoppable, and you just get that last one, and you end up losing everything that you've made. And it so I've shown you guys this thing and what you could call a BART, right? So we've basically foreshadowed it here, and yeah, it's way more clear now. This is the first peak, the second peak, the third peak. But it's really nice that I was able to show you guys everything on stream because it's really hard for me to put it into words and then type it out. And I'm sure it's more interactive for you guys to be on stream as well. So let's. I'm not sure if I'm gonna have school on Monday. If I do not have school on Monday, or if I end up not going, I'll stream at the same time, and we can take advantage of some sweeps. Because Friday highs and lows, as I'm pretty sure Dean is the one who said that, get swept on. Like a lot of the, at least one of them gets swept on Monday, either the low or the high. I'm just gonna put this here, hoping that you guys got in and closed it here. That would have been so perfect, dude, if we got in where we wanted to. Scammed by Binance. So I've shown you guys before it happened about the continuous candles that like really flush down, right? This is basically what happened here. You have much more of a wick than you do of a body. So there's consistent short orders, if you observed or not. So when there's a lot of wicks like this, right? There's big players who are able to manipulate price so much that simply just wicking there sends the price skyrocketing back down. So let's say there's a big order here, short, short. Some players shorting here, shorting here, shorting here, shorting here, and all of these guys who have this much money to play with, they aren't going home without making their money. So it's really a telltale sign that it's gonna go in their favor. The game is not to outsmart them, but it is simply to just play with them. This is this was our, let's just, a safe bet. Let's say here we would have closed our entire position, which I hope you guys did. That's even with our not ideal entry, that's still 10% for the day. And don't forget that you averaged down two trades in total. You got in once here, and then you got in another time here. I love scalping these. Like for example, if it was 60,000 BTC price, 1% move in price is $600, which is extremely, like, really high compared to where we are right now. Sub 20k, I was really enjoying it because 1% move is only $200, and we were having moves like up and down the whole day. It was really fun to scalp. And what I've been doing is I've been scalping, making a decent amount of money, taking that money and put, like, straight up just putting 50% of the profits back into Bitcoin, and the other 50% I just leave it in the scalping account. The ultimate TP that, like, you should really close your entire position at would be the ski level here. I doubt we're gonna go much lower than this. But yeah, you have to be really dynamic and react to the markets rather than speculate, especially when you're scalping. You can't just set limits and get it done with and go about your day. You've seen it, right? We've had to continuously monitor this entire chunk of price action just to get some half decent entries. And you cannot expect that while you just set limits. And when you're scalping, right, manual stops are your best friend. I never ever set stops unless my trade is going my way. So if, let's say, we were still in this, right? If it went here, then I would set my stop somewhere here, and another TP I would just set it break even. But during these trades you can't really set a stop because you're very likely to get wigged out. So market, let me just write it down. The two things that you should be doing when you're taking these scalps. So rather than marking out a specific level that you want to get in, mark out a zone, let's just call it a trade zone, in which you take your trades. So market orders and manual stops. So these two things and these specific wiki patterns are gonna be your best friend when it comes to scalping lower time frames. I'd say we're actually done for the day. Yeah, that's a wrap. We've hit it. It's probably gonna get swept. It's kind of funny because we're right back where we started. We started the stream off somewhere here. The prices, technically, the price hasn't changed a single dollar, but we've been able to capitalize. And that's all it is. It's just a game of you thinking, what would I do if I were them? And by them, I mean the market makers. So just imagine yourself with a crap ton of money, and there's like a million people out to get you. How would you dupe them? How would you take their money? And that's what you should be thinking. And I think I'm gonna call the stream here. We've pretty much accomplished everything we've wanted to. But yeah, I'll try to stream as frequently as I can, guys. So just let me know if you've learned a thing or two and if you've taken the trade itself. But yeah, that's gonna be it. I'm gonna I'm gonna stop streaming. I'll just chill for a couple of minutes and leave. That's really nice to know that that you guys made some money.